John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned, because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Wow, everybody, we got a great show for you. Thank you for joining us here today, and welcome to the show. I've got a very special guest today, Dr. David Breitbach, joining me here today. Dr. David, let me tell you, there's so much about Dr. David. I could spend the whole half hour, but here's what I want y'all to know is whether you're looking at things he's created like Love Springs, Relationship Health Club, or Dragon Wings, a game for kids and adults, or Love Springs, or the Bright Life House. For me, this is my 35th year in sobriety. This is my birthday month. Not for 2 weeks yet, the actual day. But when you get to know Dr. David, what you're really looking at is someone that is creating the things that represents 30 years in the human potential and healing field, because there's so much that we do not know about what to do to heal. And by the way, y'all have heard me now talk about more shows that are being done, because we do recognize that COVID wasn't just a body illness. It was a life transformative event. It was something that touched every aspect of people's lives, living, relationships. But what is the impact on women? The secret way women are different from men is what we're talking about today. And you know, I have no idea what Dr. David's going to say, but I am so tuned in. Dr. David, thank you.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of audacity for a man to talk about what women need, But that's, after 30 years working with so many women in my practice and my retreats, I began to see that there was something missing from the way I was working from a male perspective, and a way I had to change, that I had to perceive, that has not only led me to be more successful in my practices and my retreats, but in my own relationships and my own way of looking at myself and others.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to an expert in executive hiring, and they were referring to one of their candidates, which was a woman. And this is before I knew that this is an actual score in the DISC process assessment, dominant. And it just hit me sideways for a minute, because I was like, okay, like 4 times you're talking about, like, is there a problem? Like, it is an actual term in the assessments forms. But it's interesting for me to have that reaction, because dominant is a fascinating term we use. But then I asked him more questions, and he said, yeah, but she also scaled, empathetic, compassionate. And I said, it's curious. Why didn't you lead with that? Okay, that's for me to heal myself with on another day. But,
right.
But you understand, right, that this is a conundrum all around. What is it that made this topic so key for you? What have you learned?
Well, the key for me was, how do I help people? How do I help someone with a skill I knew was very successful, but there was times it was missing. And so, yes, I saw the similarities. We know men and women are different. There's just a difference. We can't say every man, every woman, but we're saying there's a high percentage that fit what I'm going to be talking about. And it's so important, and such a changing idea, that I think a lot of women will feel such more relaxed in their bodies and who they are, because they know it's okay. Because so many things were written by men, and it's all about the male perspective, and that's great, but they just don't know there's another way. And so the similarities are, yeah, we have stories that keep us from flowing inside. We have the same relationships inside. We have the same abilities, the same, amazingness that we have this, we're human beings, amazing. But there's a difference in the women and the men and how they process information, how they process and create health within them. And one is, yeah, there's a difference because they have different stories because of how they've been raised, how they have to protect themselves, what kind of cultural distortions there are. So there's a difference.
Yeah.
But the big difference is when I started seeing there's a river that flows in embodiment and liberation in both men and women. And I found that men and most male dominated or male, at least they're not dominated, they're just written by men. There's these concepts of liberation that's what you got to do. Enlightenment's up there. And whereas Christianity or macrobiotics or whatever, written by men, it's all about going up. Yoga, about going up. Well, I have found that women, the difference is where you start.
Yeah.
Women, if they create a current that flows down first, they feel empowered in themselves. They find the goddess on earth, the Shakti energy that they gain by creating a current of flow in the embodiment, in the direction from crown to root first, and then they'll go back up. And that difference helps you understand so much about men and women.
Yeah, I love the way you put that. I so appreciate you, Dr. David, and what you do, because what you just described, I mean, for me as a woman, I had a sense of it, but I had never thought about it that way. And it's so spot on for me when I think about myself. However, you're right about it. I mean, I worked at AT&T for 25 years or so, and in HR, and then an executive in HR, and I brought many, many consultants in. And it was exactly the model you talked about. These were concepts written by men. Now, I will tell you, I did get, what is the term? I did get sort of, I was able to sit in front of Peter Drucker and really challenge him in a kind, gentle way, because Peter Drucker, before he passed, on certain things he talked about in leadership. But your point, if we as women could understand that, maybe we would stop trying to change ourselves.
And it may be more of an understanding of men too, because it goes both directions where we know our way and we think they should be like us. And that's what will happen in relationships. It starts out male, female, attractiveness. But after a while, you start thinking, well, why aren't they doing this? Why are they like that? When it's actually, that's because what leads them to feel alive. So we know the basic thing, and we understand that a woman wants to ask for directions more often when they're lost than a man. A man doesn't want to ask for directions. Why is that? Well, she starts here. She realizes we're lost. She starts in the third eye and the understanding in the brain going, we're lost. She wants to face the fact we're lost, connect with somebody about it, and then ask for directions as she comes down to her throat. And then to her heart, she's so pleased by, oh my God, we asked for directions. We got directions. The guy comes some of the other way. There's nothing about expression. There's no asking questions. He wants to be empowered in himself, find his way, find his path. And then when he finds his path, his expression is the celebration. Found my way. See, we weren't lost. I just didn't know how to get there yet,
Oh
but it's just this difference of, and they're both great. If I'm really flowing up in my liberation, if I'm really flowing up, I might just ask for directions. If she's really flowing in embodiment, she might go along with the adventure of finding our way. But it's that not understanding each other. Like I was in Lisbon, and I'm not from Portugal, but some Eastern European couple came up. He was red-faced and angry. She had to ask for directions. She's just like, I have to ask for directions here. And I didn't know where it was. But anyway, he was so angry she was asking for directions. But this is sad because, let's work together. Let's understand each other. And what I'll tell women to do in that situation is give them a different mission to say, honey, I know you'll find just the right person to ask for directions. So, so then he got a new mission, and he will, it feels better for him. But to get it back to health, and when the flow is going up first for a woman, when there's a lot of current going up, it's like having the second part of a river flowing without the first part of the river. So the second part of the river is going to have less flow. You're going to have to add, like in yoga, when there's a lot of liberation first in yoga, worked with a lot of yoga instructors, you could see they were feeling kind of masculinized, or they feel they didn't have the energy that they felt they needed. They had to do more meditations to feel good. They had to do more asanas. They had to eat better. They had to sleep more, drink more water, all these things that are great. But that's adding water to the river because the first part's not flowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to create that energy, they had to add water. Rather, if you get the first part of the river flowing, and that's when I found, teaching yoga instructors went around, and they've all reported, oh my gosh, I feel the energy I always expected from yoga. I mean, yoga still was really great for them. It just was when you do it enough, when liberation, like in anything, without the embodiment, they were starting to lose the energy. Like in the workplace, women are taught the male way of being successful, and they become more masculinized, hardened. If they don't have something in their life where they're really truly embodying as a female, this female radiance, if that isn't happening somewhere in their life, they're going to feel dissatisfied with life. They'll feel burdened, and they'll feel exhausted. But even if they have to live that way in the workplace, which again, I think is actually more successful to embody even in the workplace. But if you feel you have to, somewhere in your life, have something that helps you embody, a man or a woman, someone who helps you come into your body and feel the feminine radiance just be absorbed and radiant from you.
Oh my gosh, I ran into this over the weekend. And I have a male partner in my sport, but I've run into this now several times. I just didn't have a framework for it. And what starts to happen if, let's say me, I don't want to talk for other people, but what starts to happen, you think, okay, I don't know why I'm not getting it. I mean, simple things, right? But it is about the flow. First of all, I love Qigong. I used to go down to Green Lake every morning and get out there with Qigong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I think you just told me why. I think you just told me why. Because I worked in a very left brain, do it, get it done, results, right? But it's fascinating because I'm going to approach this differently now after hearing you. Because when I said, I really want to try to take this shot with my forehand, and my partner says, well, then you have to move to the left. And I was trying to describe, well, if I take it with my forehand, I'm naturally moving to the right. I'm going to move to the right and go around you. And honestly, we could have spent 30 minutes just talking about that. Now, I didn't have 30 minutes. So instead of trying to explain it, what I did is I tried to move back to the left, but all my momentum was going to the right. And then I finally decided I'm just not going to take the ball with my forehand. I mean, that was my answer.
Right. And that's what happens for women.
They'll probably have seen that a million times.
They'll just choose not to.
Yeah.
It's not feeling satisfying, or just stay sticking with it and just do what someone else tells them. So it's this understanding. She knows and understands often faster than the male. I mean, that's, but it's coming from a raw place there.
Yeah.
But again, it's just this.
We want to create aliveness, David. We do. But I think what you're talking about, and just in the few minutes you talked about that, I mean, I took myself back to that moment, and I'm going to probably think about how might I have done that different. But let's talk about how you've been able to help women create this aliveness. And why have we been hiding it? I mean,
well, aliveness,
what are we doing?
Aliveness is profound vitality. It's where you heal and regenerate, digest. It's where you feel alive and in love with life. And that's what we want. Because the only question I ask in my office is, do you want to be more dead or more alive? And, I haven't found one that doesn't say more alive, because people want that. They just don't know it's possible. So as we then discuss it, they commit to work that helps them come alive. So I can discuss with them and show them as they embody, they're coming more alive. And the way to cut to the chase, the one way that brings that current down is by activating the center of a chakra first and then the outer part. So I see chakras as the springs that fill the river, the love springs is what I call them. And there's not just the center, but there's also an outer physical part. So when a woman verbally expresses and comes out, then physically expresses or expresses what she needs, but also then expresses what they need, she develops a downward direction in embodiment and comes into her heart and feels what she needs to feel. So each one of these things, imagination and comprehension, each part, when she starts, that creates a flow down. That's one way we'll work. And the key that comes in that is then in the empowerment center. The empowerment, it's a relationship between empowering oneself and empowering others. So on embodiment, you start with empowering yourself. And then naturally you shine like the sun and empower everyone around you. So this is a big difference, is that the male way, for the male to be successful in liberation, he must empower others first and then empower himself. So we get to that thing where if he empowers himself first, he'll do it at the expense of others. Typically for the female, she'll empower others at the expense of herself.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one huge difference, that just understanding that bit where you're, instead of giving from your heart as a female, you want to have an empowered heart. Most things written by men, again, is you come through the empowerment, through the third chakra, into the fourth, up you go. So your heart is always, if you've done it, you're empowered in your heart. So everything's written about the empowered heart. But if you're embodying and you get to the heart, it's without the power. So you get this heart of, then they think we have to give, because that's the male dominant thought. You give first. Giving is better than receiving. That's a whole nother story. But the idea of on embodiment, you must gather and take. It's just like creating a sun in space. You have to gather the stardust enough, gather this love dust, the stardust, to gather enough to create a sun. And then it bursts into flame from having gathered enough material, and you have a sun shining. If you don't gather enough, you become a planet or an asteroid, even worse, right? So you don't want to be a planet or an asteroid. So you actually have to gather. Not giving from your heart. Otherwise you can get sucked dry. You get drained. And that's because you're giving your energy away before you ignite into the sun, where then you will shine inwards and then burst into shining outwards. So that difference, that huge difference, is so profound for a woman to know that if she shines in, she'll shine out with such abundance. It's not about giving anymore. It's just shining.
I love this. I love that we're talking about this, because there's so many different points I could point to up until this conversation where I was in a bit of a conundrum with myself, right? And it wasn't anything major. There were a bunch of like little teeny things, right? But then the teeny things accumulate, and now I'm an asteroid. Okay, so in your words, but what you just described, this has got to be a process that we have to learn on how to activate this power. Now, clearly for me the other day, it wasn't the time to do that. So I walked away with, to your point, and you should help me here, I walked away with, when I come home and I'm going to work on this one thing, I'm going to go in my garage with my robot and I'm going to try to move that way. Why? Why am I, David? Why am I doing
stuck
that,
on
Dr.
what someone
David?
else said, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
It's unnatural, right? It's like telling a golfer when they swing the ball, right? No, don't finish over your shoulder. Finish on the other side. It really, but I'm open enough to really see the merit in it. And so I go down the rabbit hole of going with that. And then here's where I end up. You ready? Tell me how many women do this. I really do have to improve my footwork.
Yeah, it's just like, bringing it back to yourself, on yourself. But it's, that's the thing. My program today, I have my TV show starts soon after we're done.
Tell us about it.
And that's this whole program is about this. So we'll go deeply into the ideas of how to help create this. We'll go through each chakra and describe how embodiment moves through those chakras. And we go into and have a little fun with trying to change our language, which is we have light is good and dark is bad. Well, wait, is that really, that doesn't fit what I'm talking, because you have the light from the heavens, yes, but you have the pure sound from deep in the earth, and deep in the earth it's dark. And the reason this is distorted is the male dominated thought of light's better than dark. The sexuality, sensuality, physicalness is bad, while our enlightenment only comes from the light. When I find there's enlightenment in the deep song, in the deep parts of the earth, in the dark. Yeah. So I have fun with talking. We go through Paris talking about what's light versus dark. Is it really bad in the dark? When there is sadness places. That's not dark. There is horrible things. But do we have to use the word dark versus light? It's just a male-dominated verbiage. So I'm learning to change even my speaking to not make down bad and up good, and not my soul's not better than my body. They're both divine, and just starting to see that there needs to be a relationship between these two, and in a relationship, both parts of the relationship, my divine ethereal, my heavens, and my divine physical, they have to be equals, or it's going to be a bad relationship. Yeah. So starting to think of, wait, they are equals. My body, my physicality, my soul, they're in this relationship that creates a human being. They have to be as good as each other. So let's not make one bad. That's really distorts things. And so to me, there's three enlightenments. There's that enlightenment up here, but there's an enlightenment of pure enfolded depth that you go into, and it's going to be dark, but there's the sound, there's the vibration, the pure physicality, the song of the earth, and your song of being alive. When we listen to music, what do? We often close our eyes just to feel it. And that's the idea here. You have enlightenment of pure song, you have enlightenment of the pure light. Because out in the heavens, out in space, there's no sound. It's pure light. So, but you're that relationship between them, and that interface is where love is possible.
Yeah. And one of the things you're going to help us with today is you're going to bring us through an enlivened meditation for women, which I really appreciate us doing. But I wanted to let people know, how do they find out more about you? How do they find out about the TV show? All of the things you're doing. Because see, what you're describing now, I think it's the pivotal moment of insight. At least just in the few minutes I'm listening to you, I was able to internally reflect and just see, what part I was in shutting off my own aliveness. Now, let me be clear. There's a time for something, and then there's a time not something. But for me to take that and ruminate on it to the point where I'm now practicing footwork, I mean, that's what I think you're talking about. Instead of being back to my full flow nature and realize just doing that. But how do we find out more about you? Because this is a game changer for women.
Well, my website's createaliveness.com. Yeah. And my show is Aliveness Now. You'll find it's going to be like probably in an hour, I think, from about now, or a half hour from now. Mm-hmm. And so there you'll find out about my, transformational games, my Love Springs app, where you can learn deeper about each chakra in each thing. And that kind of goes along with Aliveness Now. And then I also have retreats where you can learn what I do. You can experience from me directly what I do. And also I'm beginning Zoom sessions so groups can come and we'll clear stories, work with creating embodiments and aliveness then. But I think we have just a couple minutes. And so I'll just, just a basic meditation is bringing your hands to your heart, breathing there and starting in the center, letting in the good stuff right now, and feeling that spread outwards to your inspiration of the day. starting in it, it's a little tense in there. It's usually because it doesn't want to let anything in. And so it gets tight. So you breathe in and remind it, hey, it's okay to let the good stuff in. There's good stuff. We're listening to David and Dr. Pat and letting in this good stuff, and you'll just feel a warmth happen. And from there, this now to the solar plexus is a trip through our self-esteem. So between our heart and our empowerment is self-esteem. So reminding yourself who you are. In your mind, remember, you are a spark of creation, a ray of the creator. What more amazingness is there than that? So these thoughts that it's never good enough, I'll never do good enough, never will be enough, let them go, because you are. And that can help you come down and just sense yourself shining inwards. And I find once someone starts shining in, it takes only like 6 or 7 seconds of that shining, and all of a sudden, whoo, it'll shine out. So that's 6 or 7 seconds to where you can go from giving your energy from your essence, where you get drained, to having you shine like the sun, where it's abundant and pure and full. That's the big difference. We want it to shine out, and that's full abundance. There's plenty more on my show coming up and other shows. Look, at the other shows. I've discussed this, and we've gone through these concepts in different parts of each show, or of different shows, and we do it in a fun way and try to create a way that makes it easy to understand, but also deep, but kind of fun, something different, and trying to create a little variety
That's
show.
what I love about you, Dr. David. I love about you because, you have an amazing gift and talent to really take something very deep, very transformative, and also make it fun. I mean, how long did it take me in this show to realize exactly what you were saying? I could pinpoint to a very specific situation that happened to me. So the way that you go about this, especially, I can only talk to me as a woman, really appeals to someone like me, because for most of your life, you're not really understood in that way. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and I've never found anyone to complain once I've helped them fully either
Yeah.
embody or liberate. So it doesn't change your perspectives, your desires. It helps you become full human being. And everybody loves feeling full human being, because again, embodiment doesn't make you feminine. It helps you be who you are. And so as a woman, if that's how you identify, you're going to feel that. But whatever sense, the strength of abundance and glow and shine that happens, never had a single woman complain. They've always, oh my God, this is amazing. Same with men when liberation. And when we help the women fully embody and get this experience of pure earth, they feel safe. In fact, there's just no issue of safety. That all that fear and stuff there was, and a lot of them just say, I feel no fear. And there's like the first time in their life they felt completely fearless. And then from there, blast out back out. I'll be giving a seminar about sacred sexuality coming up in this fall over in Oslo. And so that's going to be an exciting addition into this, because that's what this is to me. Aliveness is sacred. It's sensual. And then you can bring it to your sexuality. It depends how you define all these things. But being alive in the moment, that's the key.
David, one more time, thank you for today. What a great show. I know we got to wrap it up, but it's so important for you to provide your information again, because there are at least 5 things you've talked about today that will literally assist men and women into their aliveness journey. And so many people that I talk to on a regular basis, especially in recovery, aliveness is not even on their radar. So how do we find out more about you?
createaliveness.com. Also on your phones, you can go to your favorite app store and go to Love Springs app. And there's a course there right now that goes along with Aliveness Now, but there's going to be more courses, more opportunities for direct interaction with Zoom and different things. And then on my website, you'll find a calendar like where I'm at. Come over to Europe. I'm there this fall a lot. So I look forward to working with each of you. Find my television show right here in this amazing transformation network.
I love it. Dr. David, thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. And remember what Dr. David talked about. This is not a dream. It's not a vision. it's a way to enact such a beautiful state of being. And he is the person to go to for it. Thank you, Dr. David, so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It's just a pleasure. Great.
Oh my God. I love doing these shows. Now I gotta really think about it, listen to this back again, and seriously, don't practice that footwork that way. Thank you all.
Yeah.
We'll see you
Find me in
next
a half hour.
time.
I think a half hour I'm on. So aliveness now will do
Yes,
great.
you are.
Okay.